G'day everybody and welcome back to the Pokestraya YouTube channel, and Ninja Boy is unbanned on the Pokemon trading card game online. This is something I've been waiting for so long. It's a very long overdue. Hopefully it's not bugged. I haven't actually tested it yet. I'm hoping that it's not bugged at all. This is fantastic. We've been waiting for Ninja Boy to be unbanned from the Pokemon trading card game online since before the World Championships, and it's finally unbanned. So today I'm going to be showing off a deck list for an Yveltal Mew deck. This is a deck, I built this today, so it is still kind of a work in progress at the moment. It's a deck I really want to work on though, because I think it's got across the board some great matchups, and it's a very strong deck. I've been a big fan of Yveltal since it was printed. I haven't really had too much success with it, however. Hopefully this deck can change that. So let's jump in and have a look at the list. So starting off, we're going to be playing 3 Yveltal EX. Now Yveltal EX has been a pretty dominant card since its first printing. Evil Ball 20 damage plus 20 more for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. This was like Mewtwo's X-Ball, but better because it does that 20 plus. Y-Cyclone's also a decent attack. You move an energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. So if this Yveltal is about to get knocked out, you can save a DCE, move it onto another Yveltal or onto a different Pokemon to conserve the energy. Now, last format, if there was an Yveltal deck floating around, at max they'd play 2 Yveltal EX. This was because Night March was so big in the format. At the moment, I'm testing this with 3 Yveltal EX because I really want Yveltal EX to be the main attacker of this deck. Yveltal EX is a great card, very powerful card, and I think at the moment there's not too much that can really stop Yveltal hit it for weakness that hard. There is Zebstrika and Raichu. Zebstrika is iffy, but you can still kind of put up a fight against it. Same with Raichu, they've just got such low HP that even if they do knock out an Yveltal EX, it's not too big of a deal. Also, you should be able to knock out Blitzels before they become Zebstrikas, and Pikachus before they become Raichus. I haven't found it to be too much of a problem yet. So with that being said, let's move on to the other Pokemon. So we're going to play 2 Oblivion Wing Yveltal, also known as the Baby Yveltal, so this card has been paired with Yveltal ever since Yveltal started printing. So Oblivion Wing is really the only attack you're going to be using here, 30 damage, and you can attach a Dark Energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. So this is essentially Dark Patch for 30 damage, and it's an attack. It's a really good attack. This is kind of here to accelerate some more energies. As you can see there, we do play the Max Elixirs, which I do actually prefer to accelerate energies with. I'll talk a bit more about Max Elixirs in just a moment. Next we have the other Yveltal. So we're playing a 2-2 split here for a reason. I think Fright Night is such a good ability right now. Without tool removal in the format, right, there is a lot more tools seeing play. I think things like Spirit Links are going down a lot more comfortably, Floatstone seeing an increase in play, even Bursting Balloon, just like whatever tool your opponent can play, they don't need to worry about it being taken off of that Pokemon. However, Fright Night Yveltal doesn't remove the tool, but removes the effects of the tool. So now that Fighting Fury Belt is not doing anything, your opponent can't retreat with that Floatstone, etc, etc. They can't Mega Evolve without it ending their turn. Of course, there are ways around this. Hex Maniac and Garbodor are probably the biggest problems for the Fright Night Yveltal, as well as just Lysandering it out of the active position. And it's also got the attack Pitch Black Spear, which is very, very good. I've been a fan of this card for so long now. I think this Yveltal is going to see a lot of play coming up, especially in these Yveltal decks. I think it's probably going to stay a 2-2. Just because this Fright Night ability is so good, the attack's really good, does 60 damage, and 60 to one of your opponent's bench DX Pokemon. So if you're able to Lysander a Shaman, you can do 60 to an active Shaman, 60 to a bench Shaman, and set up for a full price turn. If not, you can actually potentially set up to knock out a different Pokemon if you use something like Yveltal EX per se and do a bunch of damage to it. Pitch Black Spear can knock that out and knock out a Shaman at the same time. Next up, we've got Umbreon EX. Umbreon EX is such a good card if you're able to get it to work. This endgame attack is so good at the moment Because Mega Pokemon are seeing a lot of play, this endgame attack does 70 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a Mega Pokemon, and it is knocked out by damage from this attack, you take 2 more prizes. So if you're able to knock out a Mega Pokemon, you're taking 4 prize cards. Now the problem with this attack is it only does 70 damage. 70 damage is not a lot of damage at all. So you do have to kind of soften up a Pokemon first, a Mega Pokemon, and then promote this Umbreon EX to then end game. And this is kind of where Ninja Boy comes in. If you're able to use Yveltal EX, put a bunch of damage onto a Mega, and then Ninja Boy next turn into this Umbreon and knock out your opponent's Mega Pokemon, well, that's very, very strong, and that's what you aim for with this Umbreon. It doesn't always work out how you want, but it's definitely there. It can bring you back from being so many prizes down to in front in the game. Next, we've got a 1-of Mew. I don't really feel the need to up this to 2. Especially with Hexmaniac and Gyarados being things, I just can't see this being seen too much at the moment anyway. So it's got the Memories of Dawn ability. So this Pokemon can use attacks from your opponent's your basic Pokemon in play. Now on the Pokemon trading card game online, Mew EX is also unbanned. So you could use Mew EX in here as well. Mew EX comes legal in a couple of weeks. So you can use it, but I don't really see the point. You can copy your opponent's attacks. That's great. There's no real big attacks you want to copy though. So we do only just play the 1 Mew in here, and then of course 2 Shaman to round out the Pokemon line. Next up, we're going to look at the supporters. Pretty standard for Yveltal for a lot of it. We just got 4 Sycamores, discard a Hounds, draw 7 cards. That's pretty standard. 2 N. So each player shuffles his or her hand into his or her deck, then draws cards equal to the amount of remaining prize cards. So both very good draw supports, pretty standard cards. Then we have a couple of 1-ofs. You could potentially up this to 3N. I tried 3N. I feel like Yveltal does take quite an early lead, so N does become a little crappy later in the game. I think Yveltal EX is usually going to take a pretty early lead, so I didn't like having that 3rd N in there, and I'd rather play something like the 4th Trainer's Mail to help me get a Sycamore if I am N down to 2 or 1 cards. So our 1-ofs, we're going to start with Hexmaniac. Just shuts off all abilities, very good card, especially first turn. This can slow down so many decks. If you're able to Hexmaniac against the Mega Mewtwo, that stops their Hooper, which stops their Shaman, which just slows the deck down too much. And if you're able to do that a 2nd turn in a row, you can really screw them up. Hexmaniac is a fantastic card. I would love to play a 2nd one in here. I'm testing 1 at the moment, but this might become 2. Next we play Lysander, only a 1-of in here, because I am playing 2 Escape Ropes, which I'll talk about in a moment. I find just the 1 Lysander is fine as is. With 4 VS Seeker as well, you don't need to worry too much about having a 2nd one. You could potentially find room to fit in a 2nd one in here, however, if you do wish to. I found 1 to be alright for now. And then, of course, the Ninja Boy. So this allows you to choose a basic Pokemon in play and switch it for a basic Pokemon in your deck. So all cards attach all damage counters and special conditions remain on the new Pokemon. However, you can do things like set up a baby Yveltal with a DC and a Dark Energy, then Ninja Boy into an Yveltal EX. You could attack with Yveltal EX and then Ninja Boy into the Umbreon. I think Ninja Boy is a very versatile card, and I think it's a very good card, and I think it's probably going to see play in a lot of Yveltal decks, just because it's so good in Yveltal from what I've tested. Even just things like getting Shaman off of the bench, Ninja Boy can do that pretty effectively if you just want to get your Shaman off the bench, and then you could also Ultra Ball for that same Shaman to get you a fresh hand of 6 as well. And finally, one Delinquent. A card that I'm very high on at the moment is this Delinquent. For a supporter, you discard a Stadium card in play. If you do, your opponent discards 3 cards from his or her hand. Now, there's 2 really good things I like about this card. First of all, you discard a Stadium card in play. Now, one of the biggest Stadium cards in the Pokemon game at the moment is Parallel City. Parallel City is a Stadium card which we're actually playing in this deck, which we can take a look at right here. So it's one of these double-sided Stadium cards. You are hardly ever going to get this side dropped on you unless you're playing against something like Vespiquen. You're also going to get this one dropped on you, which limits your bench size to 3 Pokemon. That can be kind of hard to fight against. When you've only got 3 Pokemon, it means you have to be very careful as to what you're benching. It could also mean that you have to discard Pokemon in play. Usually you just get rid of your Shamans so they're not light-handed targets, but sometimes you've only got 5 of your attackers down or something like that, and you don't really want to have to get rid of 2 of them. So Delinquents, being able to get rid of a supporter is really, not a supporter, a stadium card is really good, because if your opponent plays a Parallel City on you, and we do play 1 Parallel City in here, if we want to play our Parallel City, you can't play Parallel City on top of Parallel City. Delinquent then allows us to play our supporter. It also allows for us to kind of abuse stadiums in a way. So say if my opponent's got a Faded Town down, so they could take the 20 from Faded Town, and if that knocks out a Mega Pokemon, then we can Delinquent, use Reverse Valley. I suppose there's no real need for that. I was trying to think of a better example. That was the one that popped into my head for some reason. Maybe not in this deck per se. Something like if it was a Rough Seas that you had and your opponent plays a Rough Seas, you could heal 30, Delinquent, play your Rough Seas, heal another 30. That's a better example. So you don't really use that in this deck. However, there is an example for you that was better than the one I gave, which was just dumb. Secondly, Delinquent's ability to get rid of 3 cards from your opponent's hand is huge. Now, in my testing that I've done with this deck, which is very minimal, I've played Dark Garb for like the past couple of weeks, and I've really enjoyed that. I don't think it's that good, though. I don't think there's really a need for Garb. I'm testing the Mew here. Then I think I'll probably just test Straight Dark, because I've really enjoyed it. This pretty much is just Straight Dark with 1 Mew. So the Delinquent being able to get rid of 3 cards has been very, very strong. Late game ends, ending your opponents to 2 cards. If they're not able to get anything from that, you can then Delinquent them to 0 cards. Sometimes your opponent plays out their hand, only has 2 or 3 cards in hand, ready for the next turn. Delinquent is huge. Even if you're able to just take 1 turn to play this Delinquent and make your opponent drop 3 cards from their hand, can be massive. It's a tough call to make whether or not to Delinquent. I think if your opponent's ever got in a position where they've only got 3 cards max in hand, you may as well just get rid of them. It's very good. It can also stop their potential plays for next turn. It could force them to have to reevaluate their strategy for next turn. I think Delinquent is just a very good card, and I've really been enjoying it from what I've tested so far. Next, we got 4 VS Seeker, 4 Ultra Ball, 2 standard cards. I don't really need to say much about them. 4 Trainer's Mail in here. Now, this could go down to 3 very easily. As I said, this is my first day with the deck, so there's still some tinkering I need to make with it. As you can probably see, there's a lot of cards that probably need to be changed in here. 4 Trainer's Mail, though, is just consistent. There's not much to say about it. It just means you're going to have a fast turn. It means you're going to be able to really get the things you need from these Trainer's Mails. And I just enjoy having them. Playing 4 also does mean you have a better chance of Trainer's Mailing and only seeing a Trainer's Mail there, which can happen. It sucks that it happens, but yeah, well. Next we have 3 Max Leaks. This will probably become a 2 and possibly put in a special charge, because I found running out of DC is quite easy in this deck for some reason. So I think Max Leaks is a very good card in Yveltal, especially if you start with that Mew. You could put a DC into Yveltal AX, Max Leaks, and your Y-Cycloning first turn, potentially taking knockouts on things, which is very good. However, we do only play 8 basic Darks in here, so hitting these Max Leakses, you can usually hit the first couple. The reason I'm playing 3 is because of Super Odd. Late game, being able to shuffle back in 3 Dark Energies and the Max Leaksing has been really good for me. I've really enjoyed having that third one in the deck just for those circumstances. However, I don't think the deck really needs 3. Usually you're going to hit 1 or 2 a game. I doubt you'll ever hit all 3. It's very hard to hit all 3 when you're only playing 8 basic energies. Next up, we played 2 Escape Rope. Now my reason for this is we're not playing anything such as Zoroark, or even Garbodor with the Float Stones. We do play Float Stones in here as well, which I'll talk about in a moment. But firstly, these Escape Ropes are just a very good card for one. They can disrupt your opponent a bit. It's basically like a Lysander where they get to choose a Pokemon. It can sometimes be a tough choice whether or not your opponent puts up an attacker that they're building up, which could potentially get knocked out, or if they just sacrifice the Shaman. Either way, you can usually benefit from an escape rope. In most circumstances, there are circumstances where your opponent just doesn't care about the escape rope because they've gotten out to it. However, I found escape rope, as far as disruption goes, it's mild at best, but very effective in a lot of circumstances, and it's also a switching card. It's better than just playing regular switch, in my opinion anyway. Next we play 2 Enhanced Hammer, another card such as Delinquent, which I've just been loving at the moment. 2 in here, just being able to get rid of things like the special energies from Mega Rayquaza, the special energies from Mewtwo's, having to force them to play those special charges before their Pokemon are knocked out is fantastic. It can mean they run out of resources later in the game. Also being able to Enhanced Hammer and then end your opponent down to 1, that can really screw them up. I just think Enhanced Hammer is just such a good card. Special charge being in the format does suck a bit because it can kind of make the effective Enhanced Hammer a bit redundant, but I haven't really seen it to be too much of a problem. Even if you do get rid of some special energies and they just shuffle them back in with special charge, then you just start knocking them out with Yveltal, and they're getting rid of those energies anyway, and then they're not able to bring them back, so later in their game they can run out of it. I've just really enjoyed having 2 Enhanced Hammer in here, honestly. We've already talked briefly about the Parallel City. This is just kind of, it's a Mega Rayquaza counter. I think this deck is fine against Mega Rayquaza. Parallel City just makes it a so much better matchup than it already is. Well, I think it's a fair matchup. I haven't really tested the Mega Rayquaza matchup at all, but Parallel City does help. Also, Parallel City is just a good card. There's so many circumstances. Things like Rainbow Road, you can drop this on. You could drop this on yourself and get rid of 2 Shamans, and also potentially lower the attacks of Volcanion and Vespiquen. I think Parallel City is just a great card in general. Next we'll play 1 of Reverse Valley. Now I kind of want to talk about this card for a bit. You could play this as a Faded Town, and there's reason for playing this as a Faded Town. There's a lot of strong Mega Pokemon in the format at the moment, and Mega Pokemon are really the standard in the current format. I think Mega Pokemon really do rule this format. As far as it looking at the moment, there are some decks that don't play Mega Pokemon, which are doing fine, such as Rainbow Road, Volcanion, even Yveltal's seeing some play. So there's a reason not to play the Faded Town. The biggest reason I don't play Faded Town is because the math is just perfect for playing this Reverse Valley. Yveltal EX does 90 damage with a Y-Cyclone. With a Fighting Fury Belt, that's 100 damage, and with this Reverse Valley, it's 110 damage, which is enough on the dot to knock out a Shaman EX. This is a big reason for me playing this. Whilst you don't always really want to just target down Shamans as your main strategy, it can be your only option at some points, and this is your only way of getting it easily, unless you load up a lot of energies onto an Yveltal EX and just swing for Evil Ball. This Y-Cyclone can also happen in the first turn. It's a potential first turn 2 prizes. It's fantastic. That's why I played that over the Faded Town. Faded Town's still a very good option. I just think Reverse Valley's a little bit more, I guess, optimal play, I suppose. It hits more targets. Usually, if a Reverse Valley or a Faded Town does come down, they're not going to stay on the stadium on the field for long enough to really be a huge threat. If your opponent's playing a Mega type deck, I doubt they're going to let a Faded Town sit there for a couple of turns. Same with Reverse Valley, really. Sometimes they'll let it sit there for a little bit. I found people don't get too much about a Reverse Valley being down. It's only 10 damage. That 10 damage can mean a lot, however. And things such as Umbreon's endgame, this and the combination of Fury Belt can start to hit for 190. So the math is just so much better with Reverse Valley than Faded Town under most circumstances. Of course, Faded Town would help you reach that endgame earlier, but it could also potentially knock out the Mega Pokemon before you get the chance to endgame. So that's all to talk about Reverse Valley. Next, we got 3 Fighting Fury Belt. I play 3 just because all of my Pokemon are basics, and it's a good tool, so why not? The only Pokemon you can't put this on is the Fright Knight Yveltal. You can put it on there and then Hex Maniac, I suppose. You can attach it to it, it just won't have any effect. I just think if I was going to play 3 Yveltal EX, I should probably play 3 Fury Belt. Because why not? It's a good card, extra 10 damage, extra 40 HP. Great. Next we play 2 Floatstone, which is a card that you probably don't need in this, but I really like having it in here. The main reason is to retreat this guy right here without having to discard a DCE from it. If this thing gets Lysandre, just being able to whack a Floatstone on there and retreat is fantastic. Also, just putting it on your Shaman so you don't have to spend the energy. Even on this guy, if your opponent plays down a Gyarados, or you can Hex Maniac and then Floatstone and retreat. And even when Yveltal EX, sometimes you bench another one that you want to start getting set up, it gets Lysandre too quick before you can set it up, and it just kind of gets stuck there. Check a Floatstone down and retreat into the other one. It's fantastic. I really enjoy Floatstone. It's just a good card. Finally, with the energies, 8 Dark Energies and 4 DC. That's probably standard for Yveltal. I would like a 9th one in here just to make these max elixirs a little more effective, and there's definitely space for it. So this is the first draft of this deck. Let's jump in and have a game with it. Alrighty, we're just going to look for a game here. Hopefully we can get a really good game in. I'd like it to be against a somewhat competitive deck, but we'll have to see. I have actually seen a lot of lightning type decks popping up on Pokemon Trading Card Game Online. A lot of just wacky random lightning decks. So hopefully we don't run into that. If we do, I guess we can show off the matchups a bit better. So we see Steel, Psychic, and Colorless. This instantly makes me think of Mega Scizor, which is actually the matchup I've tested most because one of my testing partners does play this Mega Scizor deck quite a bit. Pokemon Trading Card Game Online does seem to be not responding to me at the moment. Hopefully that fixes, and it does. I actually tend to have that problem quite a lot when I play the first game on the PTCGO. It just starts to not respond for me. So we are going to go first. Now with this matchup, Y-Cyclone is huge. If you're able to just not keep the DCE on the active, you're going to be in a good position. We are going Mulligan here. So I'm assuming this is Mega Scizor. It could be something else. I'm assuming it's Mega Scizor Garb, however. So Mew, not really going to be too helpful for us here. And it looks like we're going to start with a pretty decent start, I guess. We're going to start with a baby Yveltal. Unfortunately, we do have 2 VS Seekers and a Sycamore in hand. Cards you never really want to see in your opening hand with no other out. An N would be nice, an Ultra Ball would be great. Let's see, what is my opponent playing? And it is Scizor. Now we do draw into this Ultra Ball, which we're going to play straight away. I would love to find an N. It's a bit of a risk, but I am going to take a Shaman here and draw 3. I could have potentially attached the energy as well and discarded the Enhanced Hammer. I kind of didn't think of that there. I just wanted to get the energy in the discard to power up Oblivion Wing. So we are looking for an N here. Oh my god. We did not hit the N. This is even worse. We're going to Hex Maniac and just pass turn here. I should have just gone for the Sycamore because now there's another VS Seeker in hand. Hopefully my opponent plays their own N. That would be fantastic. Oh, yes. That was really what I was hoping for. Also, the Hex Maniac does slow my opponent down a bit. They might play things like Hooper. That could also be the Psychic. This could just be straight Sizzle, and that was the Psychic Performance Hooper. We're going to see an Escape Rope coming down. I'm actually going to go into the Shaman just because I do have the Floatstone in hand. So we can really... we can't win this turn because we need an energy last turn. We can definitely apply some pressure though and kind of get off to an early lead. I would like to actually Hex Maniac again this turn, and I do have the VS Seeker to do that. So we're probably just going to take a Shaman here. Probably should have just not attached a DCE. I am trying to dig for a Max Elixir, so hopefully I can hit it. If not, I think Hex is fine in this situation. My opponent really doesn't seem to have much going for him. So Hex Maniac probably do us alright here. We do hit the Max Elixir. Of course, there are 2 Dark Energies in our hand, so I wasn't really expecting to hit that. And I think, yeah, we're just going to go with the Hex Maniac this turn once again. I probably could have also put the DC here and Sky Returned. Hex Maniac, I doubt my opponent's really going to have the cards to Gale Thrust, so I'm confident leaving this guy in the active position one more turn. I'd rather him take the hit than the Yveltal, honestly. Another energy coming down, unless he Mega Evolves here. I didn't really think of that. Maybe I should have kept the old Yveltal in the active spot. They are going to need a Spirit Link and a Mega, however. Without Shamans, it's going to be a bit tough for them. They are also ending us to draw 3 more cards. Hopefully we can get some good stuff of this. My opponent is going to concede, and I actually think we may have had game in that hand we could have DC'd and Max Elixir, and if we hit that Max Elixir, I believe we would have had enough damage there to get the game. So we are going to play another round with that, just because it was a very quick game against Scizor. So I did play a little bit risky there. I should have played that a bit better than what I did, but oh well. So let's try and get another game here. Hopefully we can get another good game. I would have liked to have played that one for longer. My opponent not really getting anything. Of course, they're going to concede if that's the case. You're going to see a water colorless deck. Very interesting to see what this is. It could potentially be a water box deck, which would be nice. However, I am thinking more along the lines of Greninja. Greninja, I'm not too phased by. I'm assuming this is probably Greninja Talonflame. It'd be cool if this was a water box deck, though. We're going to start with Yveltal, and a pretty decent hand, actually. Even if we get End, I wouldn't be too worried about it at this point. And my opponent's starting Shaman, so this makes me believe that it's not a Greninja deck. I'm going to see a water coming down onto the Shaman. And a Ninja Boy. Okay, so now we might actually see what my opponent is playing here. And it's going to be interesting. I think this might be some form of water box deck. We're going to see that Ninja Boy. Oh, it's a Gyarados deck. Okay. Alright, I think this is a pretty favorable matchup for us, just because we do so much to Gyarados because it needs so many energies on it. We're going to Trainer's Mail. I'm actually going to take the Max Elixir here. We're going to Ultra Ball, get rid of the Hex Maniac and the Lysander. I'm going to take an Yveltal EX, and hopefully I can hit this Max Elixir. We have prized an Yveltal EX as well, by the looks of things, which is fine. We probably won't need more than 2 in this matchup anyway. We're going to Max Elixir, and of course we don't hit it. I'm just the unluckiest guy when it comes to Max Elixirs. Watch me Sycamore and draw 4 energies right now. I'm going to Parallel City, making it so my opponent's attacks do 20 less. I'm assuming this Parallel City is going to get Counter Stadium Act anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. And it looks like we're just going to miss every energy card in our deck anyway, so we're going to Trainer's Mail once again. We do find an Escape Rope, which is fine. I'll take that. We're going to play down the Yveltal. Now we do only have 1 more bench space available, and it looks like I'm probably just going to go for a Shaman here. I'm going to Escape Rope, promoting this baby Yveltal here. I just want to hopefully start to be able to do some damage this turn, and hopefully actually be able to get a Dark Energy into the discard. It's going to be tough to do, but definitely possible. We're going to need 2 Darks and an Ultra Ball off this, and wow, we actually missed a lot of it. We're just going to put a DC down. I may as well Float Stone. There's no real tool removal here, unless they're playing like the Cinccino or Minccino, whichever one it is. And we're just going to pass turn. We do also have that N, which I'm not a huge fan of playing, but I might be forced to. An Articuno coming down, that's alright. DC coming down onto the Gyarados. So yeah, this is kind of a good thing for us. Seeker, oh, this could be a Regice though. Let us see what my opponent is doing. It is going to be the Regice. They're going to go for a Resistance Blizzard here, which is actually alright. They know I'm trying to power up this Yveltal EX. So this is fine. I'm really hoping I draw a Dark Energy. Okay, and what we're going to do this turn is disrupt my opponent. We are going to grab a Delinquent here. Dropping this Stadium does mean they're going to be hitting us for full amounts of damage, but they have no cards in hand. So this is kind of where this Delinquent is very powerful. My opponent's actually going to be 3-shotting this Yveltal as well. So this does give us a couple of turns to kind of get things set up. We are going to just do 30 damage here. We're not going to have a Dark Energy to attach, which is kind of a shame. I would have liked to get that Pitch Black Spear Yveltal up, because we can get 1 more Oblivion Wing and then a Pitch Black Spear. We'll be in a good position here. So that's what we're going to set up for this turn. We do get another Pitch Black Spear Yveltal. I decided to play the Yveltal EX, I think, and I'll leave the bench space open. You know what? screw it, we're playing the Yveltal. Because this Yveltal is going to get knocked out, so we're going to have an open bench space regardless. We're going to Trainer's Mail here, looking for an Ultra Ball if possible. Get an Enhanced Hammer. This is going to be huge. We're going to Enhanced Hammer here. Get rid of this DC on my opponent. Let's see if they're able to find another energy to knock us out. If they're not able to knock us out, we're going to be able to go into our Yveltal EX and knock them out. They've got one card in hand. They're going to be drawing one more. Is it an energy card? Even a water energy would knock us out here. And my opponent's going to concede. Well, I'll just leave it there. We didn't really get a too great of a matchup. My opponent's conceded pretty early. But at least we got to show off some cards in the deck. Hopefully that's enough. If this video is not as long as I'd like, and if the matches aren't too great and you want to see more, just let me know. I might film some more with Yveltal as I continue to build the deck and fix up the deck. I do need to come back to Volcanion because I've played Volcanion wrong last time. There's some cards I need to change. I think my list play Max Elixirs, and just don't play Max Elixirs in Volcanion. So Yveltal is probably a deck that I'll come back to quite a bit over the next couple of weeks because it is a deck that I'm testing quite a bit. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe to Pokestraya and check us out on Facebook. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.